A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Spectrum Extra on Radio 1 FM 90. Today being a Friday, it's a time when we review the major events of the week. I have a panel of four gentlemen who are already here in studio, and they will be sharing their thoughts, but also reacting to the comments that you will give us on the different subtopics that we are going to look through this particular evening. We do value your feedback and encourage you to be part of this discussion by sharing with us your thoughts. Share with us a message via the WhatsApp line 0703 090. It could be a question or comment, and the panel will be responding to some of the issues that you will put across. We'll be looking at the outcomes of the local council and women council elections. We had LC1 elections on the 28th of this particular month. And many are still discussing what transpired. In Gomba and Jinja, some people were killed. In other places, they were beaten. There was also confusion and bitterness, which characterized the process in some areas. There were sharp disagreements about village registers in some areas. It was reported that in some places, strangers had been registered to vote in villages where they did not originally belong or reside. Some village members who did not heed the call to register also turned up demanding to vote. There was considerable big turn-up, especially in urban areas and those that are peri-urban. And the Electoral Commission says the exercise was 98.4% a success. Of course, there are some villages where election did not take place. So we'll be looking at this issue in detail. What transpired, what lessons can we get from this particular process. This week, we also learned that Uganda had nominated a candidate for the position of UN Secretary General. That is Dr. Olara Otunnu. He wants to succeed Antonio Guterres, whose term will be ending this particular year. Otunnu brings into this race 40 years of international experience. He's not a stranger to the UN system. He did serve there as Uganda's permanent representative to the UN in the 80s. Later, he served as the Undersecretary General and Special Representative for Children in Armed Conflicts. And we will be looking at this particular race. Some people are not happy that the government delayed to send in his candidature, because by the time they did, the other candidates had already taken part in town hall debates in which they have explained their agenda. And if Dr. Otunnu succeeds, he will be, succeeding Antonio Guterres, but he will be seeking to become the second African to hold that position. I remember very well the late Egyptian Boutros Ghali, who served as the 6th Secretary General of the United Nations between 1992 to 1996. We'll be also looking at a lot of cultural institutions in Uganda. Today, Buganda Kingdom is celebrating the 33rd coronation anniversary of His Majesty Kabaka Ronald Mwenda Mutebi II. He ascended to the throne as the 36th King of Buganda on July 31st, 1993, following the constitutional restoration of traditional kingdoms in Uganda. The theme of this commemoration is fortitude as we sustain and promote our beliefs and value systems. It will be an opportunity for us to look at the role of cultural institutions in Uganda. Some people have said that these institutions are sleeping giants in terms of promoting tangible development and social cohesion in our country. So we'll be looking at that particular issue in detail to understand how can we unlock or tap this potential that these cultural institutions carry with them. The panel. The Honorable Godfrey Kabbyanga, Baluku. He is coordinator of the PLU in Rwenzori region. He's a member of the Central Executive Committee of that particular group. He's a former State Minister of National Guidance. Good evening, Honorable. It's a pleasure having you on Spectrum Extra.
Good evening, Kenneth, and our listeners. I'm happy to be here again.
Also in studio, Imam Idd Kasozi is a retired lecturer at Islamic University in Uganda, member of the Justice Forum Party. Good evening, Imam Idd Kasozi. Always a pleasure having you on this platform.
Good evening, viewers and listeners.
All right. And I also stand to be corrected. Africa has had actually two people who have served in the position of Secretary General. I had forgotten the late Kofi Annan, who was a Ghanaian, who also served in that particular, docket between 1997 to 2006. The other one was Boutros Ghali, who also passed on. He was from Egypt. The other panelist, Mr. Timothy Chemonges, Executive Director, Parliamentary Watch, and at the Center for Policy Analysis, CEPA. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Anderson. Good to be here. Good evening to our listeners and fellow panelists. Thank you.
Dr. James Tweheyo, member of the NRM Electoral Commission, former representative of workers in the Central Executive Committee of that political party. Good evening, Dr. James Tweheyo. It's a pleasure having you on.
Good evening, listeners. Good evening, our possible viewers, and good evening, my fellow panelists. Happy to be here tonight.
Right, gentlemen, I'm going to amend the order paper, and I want us to begin very quickly with the role of cultural institutions in this particular country. Like I've already indicated, Buganda Kingdom is celebrating its 33rd Coronation anniversary of the current Kabaka. The theme, Fortitude, as we sustain and promote our beliefs and value systems. I want us very quickly to share our thoughts on this particular issue, where people are saying these entities, the cultural institutions, are sleeping giants and can help us to develop very quickly. And I want to begin with you, Imam Idd Kasozi, very quickly, if you can share with us your thoughts on the role the cultural institutions can play in our society today.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Cultural institutions. When you talk about cultural institutions, we're talking about culture. And when you are talking about culture, you are talking about humanity. Because no human society can exist without a culture. The unfortunate part is that we have amended our cultures, depending on whom we have got contact with. Culture is dynamic. Three things must be understood. Culture can change when it gets in contact with another culture.
So culture is dynamic?
Yes. When they meet and they are at par, they each influence each other. When they meet and one is inferior, it is subjugated. And many times, you end up appreciating other people's culture and you forget yours. Therefore, if you have that in mind, then you will understand culture. Many people confuse culture with some traditions people practice, which are actual and uncultural, that even in those particular cultures, they are not accepted. You see, they are not accepted. But people practice them and then people confuse them. And this is where those of us in the religious docket, we have had issues. We need to go back and understand what is culture. Culture is language. Culture is food. None of us on this table is wearing our culture. It's where they come from. None of us. All of us, we have imported culture in terms of dress. Culture is dress. Culture is language. Culture is art. So, if you are talking about culture, you need to understand all those. And if you don't understand them, then you'll have issues. For example, giving myself as an example, I don't want to use others. Many Muslims, when they think they have become very strong religious people, they even want to drop their traditional names. You see a person wants to become like the English will be Peter James. It is okay. Okay? Now we'll find somebody, Imam, and Imam Idd. But he's speaking a local language, Luganda. I always ask them.
What is your Kigana name?
Kasozi is my name.
I mean, you always ask them.
Yes, I ask them, yes.
Who want to be identified?
No, I first ask them, trick them and ask them, don't you have another name? Then you see him or her saying it reluctantly. Where is the problem? He has not properly also understood the religion. Because the religion is very clear. The Almighty said in the Quran that all humankind, we have created you from a male and a female. You see, we have created you from a male and female. And then we gave you between culture, between tribe and clan or community. وجعلناكم شعوبا وكبائر. We gave you nationalities plus your clans, lita'arafu, so that you can know each other, to differentiate who is who. The best amongst you is who appreciates that and know God more than probably the other. But therefore, whoever looks at his cultural name, or whether you call it tribal maybe, name, your tribal's name, and you want to undermine it and think that it is kufru, then you are misled. Even I think also the overzealous also born agains also. They want to dismiss some of these names. Many of them also forget to know that you can ask Tweheyo where he comes from. Names changed tremendously with the advent of Christianity. I actually had a debate on Kitunga High School Road Boys. Somebody later told me, I had not known my name because he like the name Asimwe. Asimwe is a new name among the Banyankole, meaning who? Asimwe Mukama, Oba Mukama Asimwe, meaning later we thank the Almighty.
So they're always cutting it in short.
Yes, they have all those names. Unless you find somebody is Tweheyo. Tweheyo was a very, it was a strong name. Bebwa. Such are names. Those are the real traditional Banyankole names. But with the coming of religion, they started changing, appending them to the Almighty after understanding that it is the Almighty that created us. Therefore, cultural institutions, there would be very good vehicles for harnessing harmony in our society. And unfortunately, people keep discerning. There's a debate I'm enjoying on social media between two people, two young men. One supports the other one, I think, stands for himself. They decided not to speak in Unyankole. It is on social media. Kabanda versus Lukwago. and they're addressing the people of Ankole, whatever, they address them. And I listened, because I first listened to Lukwago speaking the local language. And I think this morning, as I was, then I see now Kabanda. That Kabanda responds to, and he also spoke in very fluent Lunyankole, Kabanda. And then he even said, when he said, so he even mentioned villages, the villages that I know, because I was born, I was educated, and raised for a long time in Lukwago. You see? So I know. Even there is a song, many young men don't know it. During our time, we used to sing it in as a folk song about the Ankole kingdom, and they were singing, narrating the counties.
You sing for us and we hear.
You see, yeah, I can't sing it much as it is almost 60 years.
Please do.
Since I sang
there
it
are some young Banyankole who do not know that song.
You see,
and they could be listening to us.
And
they could be listening to us, the young Banyankole who.
And it was going as in enganda z'Abanyankole kalo kalunja kasinga aine myeto. Then there's yazala ruhanga kalo kalunji. Then they mention the different counties. Then another one mentions the different groups that were there. I sang this when I was in primary 1 or 2 in 1967. I still remember vividly.
All right.
So that's why. So when I listen to most of this, I said, why are we heading to? Why is it that now people are beginning to become specific? So culture should be helping us to understand ourselves and know that therefore cultural leaders, their role should even be helping the politicians to to understand the people, because ethnicity and religion, there are two things we call, they are the primary security institutions. When somebody says, what is your name? You see, this yesterday, a person from Kabbyanga's village, I am running a drive for Karamoja, because I'm going to Karamoja next week, and we have a drive raising food for people of Karamoja. Somebody from Bwera sent me, but when he sent me and he told me I am this from Bwera, then I greeted him in the local line, the red band. The one now, you know, and he was so happy. You see, we meet on different platforms. That's why even you see Mr. President Museveni, whenever he goes, he can say about 10 different, the same word in 10 different nationalities, meaning the essence and the importance of our traditions and culture. So we need to support them. We don't need to politicize them. We need to support them and ask them to guide their communities. That, you know, we were different, but later we were put under one umbrella called Uganda, and therefore we need to behave. Then, when you are doing your practices, your cultural practices, you appreciate the others, because there's no way you will cut me from the Baganda. There's no way. I was born, raised in Ankole, but I know my heritage is in Uganda. That's why I'm called Imam. That's why I'm called Kasozi. As you see now, I rarely put in a quote. I am from a wedding, a very special wedding, Islamic wedding, but many who came were surprised. Why? Because the group, the group who are organizing this wedding, they separated. For us, we separate men and women, but in the same hall. Today we are separated, men in a different place, women in a different place, but listening, hearing each other. And at a particular time, in the men's camp, there was a completely total the other. Then I told the people when I was speaking, I said, you see the uniqueness of this one now. You were on mine, I told them you were on my side the other time. For us, we are men here, women there. Me, I don't accept the music on it, but the material was there. But this one's even material, even whatever is not there. And it is unique. All that is sometimes we mix other people's cultures in our religion. And that brings us. So we say, I want to congratulate His Majesty, the King of Uganda, for taking us thus far. Because when they were beginning this thing, I was here, many people thought it was a joke. Now it has grown. And what is surprising, younger men who were being born then are part and parcel of that, irrespective of the new trends we live in. So that's why I want to appreciate that. Let us use our cultural institutions to help us build our nation, to help us build humanity. And in the end, for example, now, if you asked, by these intermarriages, they are not new. Even in those days, they are there. Even in the history that is written, even some of the kings in Kochi, in whatever, they will cross and they have some relationship with the people in Bunyoro, even in Uganda. You see, what is shocking, even among the people whom we think like they are Luo, for us we are Bantu, or the Nairo Hamites, and the Bantu. They have all intermingled. Even then, you will find that that's the intermingled. And in the process, certainly artifacts, I think that's what we call them. Yes, you will find them in societies where you don't expect them to find them. That's therefore meaning intercultural connections are possible. We should celebrate them, build them, and for those of us who have become more religious, differentiate between what is shirk, associating with the God, and then the practices of society. In the Islamic culture, or in the Islamic faith, people's culture is part of the law.
All right. Spectrum Xtra on Radio 1 FM 90. Imam has given us that big background about culture and religion and how culture is very important in our society, but also the cultural institutions. Keep your comments coming via the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. We'll continue after this break. Thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum Xtra live on Radio 1 FM 90, review major events of the week with Dr. James Tweheyo, a member of the NRM Electoral Commission, former member of the Central Executive Committee of that political party, Mr. Timothy Chemonges, Executive Director at Parliamentary Watch and at the Center for Policy Analysis, Imam Idd Kasozi, retired lecturer at Islamic University in Uganda, member of the Justice Forum Party, but also a farmer, the Honorable Godfrey Kabbyanga Baluku, member of the Central Executive Committee of the PLU, coordinator for the Rwenzori sub-region, the former Minister of National Guidance. We are looking at the major events of the week. We began by, looking at the role of cultural institutions in our country, Uganda, today, in line with the commemoration of the 33rd coronation anniversary of the 36th King of Buganda, His Majesty Ronald Mwenda Mutebi II. The theme of this commemoration is fortitude that will sustain and promote our beliefs and value systems, and the call is cultural values are still very important even in this era where there is development that seems to be introducing a new form of culture. Let me come to the Honorable Godfrey Kabbyanga Baluku, who comes in from the kingdom of Singa Warwenzuru. Yes, Honorable Minister.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kenneth. Let me start by congratulating His Majesty the Kabaka of Uganda upon this 33rd coronation anniversary, and wish all the Baganda, and wish him and all the Baganda very successful celebrations, and also say we are praying for them. And then I'd also like to thank and congratulate His Excellency President Museveni and the NRM government for restoring these kingdoms. That historical meeting, I think it was in Guru of the Army Council, which agreed that kingdoms should be restored, I think was a landmark decision that has changed the terrain, even the political terrain of the whole country. And I would like therefore to thank the men and women who took that decision. Cultural decisions, just as Imam Kasozi has alluded, are very, very crucial in our setting as Uganda. Because you know that Uganda is a republic, but it is a country with different nationalities, as Imam Kasozi has alluded. Different nationalities came together to form what we call Uganda now. And you should know at independence, I think there were about 4 kingdoms recognized. Uganda, Busoga, Bunyoro, then Toro and Angole. But eventually others have also emerged. After the resolution of Guru, more have come in, including recognition of where I belong, the Obusinga Warwenzuru. Even when it was existing before, but it was recognized in 2009. And others have come up, Udinja Bwamba, Emori Mori, and now Bugisu, the Bamasa.
There's also talk now about reviving an institution of Bukedi.
Bukedi, like exactly, yeah. All those are things which are coming up. But when you look, but you should also know that in this country there is still, what is the right word? Still a bit of nostalgia. People are still longing for the other cultural institution.
The other powerful cultural
which existed before
the one
what?
That had power.
Exactly. And they have failed to interpret the cultural institution which exists now. And that people are so nostalgic. I don't know whether it's the right word. You people who know English. They still think
the other one
was the best. And yet it cannot operate in a republic. And it will never operate in a what? In a republic. Because if you look at the constitution, these cultural institutions now are basically cultural. They are not even kingdoms. They are cultural institutions.
But
if you look at the definition of a kingdom, they may not qualify to be what?
And that's why the debate is. Some people are saying that these institutions have a lot of potential.
Yes.
But we are not tapping it by limiting what they can do.
No, it's not an issue of limiting what they can do. Because what they can do is well prescribed in the Cultural Institutions Act.
Yes,
and the Constitution.
That limits what they can do.
You know, and that's what I'm telling you. What the people want to be done was in the other cultural institutions before what? Independence. And now most of those roles have been overtaken by the setup of central government. And you cannot, because you cannot now say cultural institutions should collect taxes. That one can't be. It is totally impossible. However, those cultural institutions, one thing I have noted, they are loved. And those kings are powerful. And those kings can direct their people towards socio-economic development, and things happen. I have seen Buganda Kingdom and the Kabaka instructing the Prime Minister on coffee. And you see every Muganda planting what? Coffee. And every Muganda now is trying to ensure they have some few plants of what? Of coffee. I have seen the Kabaka running a campaign of measles, vaccination against what? Measles, fistula, HIV, and you see, and more especially measles. That's where that's what he started with. Sickle cells, yes. And you just see people listening. I've seen in Kasese where Musinga directs, and everybody says, "I think the king has what? Has spoken." So me, I still believe probably we in the NRM with my senior Tweheyo, we need to harness this authority and love that the cultural institution.
That's what the debate is. Some people have been suggesting that probably we need to start giving them some money from the national budget so that they can implement certain programs that the government can't.
I strongly believe there is a way we can go into collaboration, and we sign different memorandums of understanding with these cultural institutions, and we finance them to sensitize. Because I'm telling you, if these cultural institutions assist us to sensitize people, you know now PDM right now, what one of the obstacles we have, or the challenges we have, is mindset. If we can use this cultural institution to tell people that 1 million can do something, people will listen and they will utilize the money effectively. And but also you should know that some of the cultural practices now we have sort of a hybrid, because some of the cultural practices have become outdated. And here, if we are not careful, I think it's only the Baganda who are still very strong and have sustained some of their beliefs and values. But the rest of the tribes, if we are not careful, we are the cultural values, norms are being eroded. But the Baganda, they still stick to some, and I think I like them for that too. They have developed their language, the richest language now, because as Imam Kasozi has said, culture is about language. The Baganda have developed their language, and now it is becoming a very rich language. And that's why government sometimes should come in to finance, for instance, development of a dictionary, for instance, of different languages. Already, these cultures which come in from outside is eroding everything. There are some countries, probably some of them, like Ethiopia, I don't know whether because it was not colonized. Because if you go to Ethiopia, even the clothes they put on, they are still being hand woven. Right. And you just admire, they are still so cultural. Though some of the practices I don't support. It's like I'm a Rotarian and went deep in the village, and women couldn't use a toilet. We had to convince them that using a toilet is hygienic. But they told us, if you use a toilet, you don't produce children. And that's a culture, which is not good at all. So all those should really be, we should go away with those, but we need to retain what is important. And I would like to repeat it again. We can use these cultural institutions to mobilize people for socioeconomic transformation.
All right, let's go to Dr. James Tweheyo. Dr. James Tweheyo comes from Western Uganda, where there was a kingdom. I don't know if it's still there, Ankole. And while these cultural institutions were instated in other places, there we only have a palace, which was recently renovated. And once it was renovated, we thought that probably there will be some sort of, installation of a new Mugabe for that particular area. But I don't know, maybe that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
you want to say something about
day.
Why?
But I can comfortably say there is a kingdom, though without a king.
How is that?
And and the issue was in the disputes that were within the families, and what it would take to get the rightful person for that kingdom to lead as a king. And that's not uncommon, even in history. Those things used to happen. And I think we are sorting out ourselves. The fact that the palace is there, it means that the country and the government recognizes that there is that area which is called Ankole, and that at one time or another, if the issues of the kingdom leadership is sorted, maybe it will happen and we shall have.
You need to clarify on this. We are actually told by some people, I may not know, but we have heard about this story. Like there are specific people in that area who do not want this kingdom reinstated, something like that. And yet there are certain Banyankole who wants to enjoy their cultural values.
It is not only in Ankole. Even in other areas, you have had people fighting over that. You had even Kayunga here the other time when there was that war. You have had in Busongora here, where there was that confusion. Whether political or not political, but it was there, it happened. Let's look at facts and get things done right.
So what are you doing as people from Ankole to resolve these issues? Surely there could be people within that region.
Let the Banyankole question be the Banyankole question, and we shall sort it out ourselves. So I think it's not a matter to be discussed here in the media for purposes of solving it. Some of those issues are solved and discussed in the real cultural setting.
You are running away from the
I'm not running out from it. The fact is, I have told you that there is a kingdom palace. I've told you that in that kingdom palace there is no king or a queen. So that question will be sorted with the time. Now,
let's continue and
and as my colleagues here talked about it, I want to equally congratulate the Kingdom of Buganda upon the 33rd. Is it 33rd? Yes. The third celebrations of the ascension to King to power or to the throne by His Majesty Ronald Mutebi and the people of the kingdom. And I enjoy the privilege of being one of the people of Uganda because I share a house with the Mumbeja, Dagire, And therefore, I'm very, very happy to be here.
You
I
share
also,
or you
According to our culture,
you
share the house with a sebo.
And therefore, I'm one of those who celebrate this. I'm very happy and comfortable. I take that. But I also want, from that, actually, as my brother Kabbyanga said, the restoration of these kingdoms was done in Guru in a very special sitting by the Army High Command. And it is on the same road that I want to congratulate the Army, the UPDF, upon that action, but also even congratulate those UPDF officers who were there then, and also congratulate those who have just been promoted, I think some few days ago. I congratulate you all, those who are promoted to all ranks, and encourage you to always be part of the useful decisions that will help this country to grow. What did we mean when we talk about culture? My understanding is that it is the behavior, it is the practices, it is the values, it is the manners, and these are manifested in a number of things. The way people dress, the kind of food they eat, by the way, they also contribute to it. The practices, like you said, the circumcision, all the way the people behave and conduct themselves, and what we think about them when we meet them, and what they think about themselves, in my view, forms or shapes the interests, the conduct, the behavior, the values of people. And in a number of times, if it even influences their appearance. Because of what they eat, because of how they live, it influences their appearance. People who drink a lot of milk will appear different from those who eat a lot of simsim. It is completely different. People who live in a certain area, because of the environment, will appear different from those who live in another area. I used to imagine that actually people who live in the northern, that's my imagination when I was still young. I used to think that they are short because of the nature of houses I looked at. I used to think the Karamajong are very short people. That was my picture at the start before I went there. When they say they live in those manyatas, I used to think they are very short people who should fit in. But once you reach there, you are surprised. In Teso, in Karamoja, in the northern, they have giants of people. And the culture can even manifest itself in the construction of the houses. If you look at the Chinese houses, you look at it and say, oh, this is Chinese design. If you look at the Indian houses or Indian dresses, you'd clearly understand. If you went to Kansanga here, you'd be surprised to find a number of Somalis and the way they dress, or Ethiopians. So it manifests itself in all those forms, and therefore it shapes the behavior, it shapes the conduct, it also shapes the relationships. In some cases, there are some people who are said to be fighters. For example, in Kigezi, the Muchiga will tell you straight. The other day when you had Bariomus talking to other people, he would tell you, I will tell you straight from the heart. I don't care. But in some other areas, people will begin circumlocating. They want to tell you something, but they want not to tell you, but they begin telling stories. And even when you hear the people they talk about, they'll tell you, in that culture, my friend, you be careful. Those people will not be honest with you. In your area, I've traversed the whole of this country. They will tell you, some of these people, if you show him a hand that is folded, he will not believe that you don't have anything.
All right.
But even when you open it, he will still believe that you're hiding something.
All right.
So the conduct of people, the behavior, the beliefs, the thinking, it promotes the way people live.
All right. Let's go to Mr. Chemonges. Mr. Chemonges, let's hear your quick thoughts about the cultural institutions and the role that they can play in our society, or the role that they are already playing. But the most important thing, we want to see how we can amplify and actually benefit more from these cultural institutions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anderson, and to join colleagues to congratulate the kingdom for the 33rd coronation anniversary. Again, taking note that all of us who are in Buganda Kingdom are subject of the king. The king superintends over the kingdom. And I think for me is to agree with many of the things. I think that there has been some significant support that has been extended to the cultural institution. And my only critique would be around how these cultural institutions take on this support from government without undermining their ability to still maintain their objectivity. Even when, again, the legal framework provides that kingdom should not play partisan or should not participate in partisan politics. I think that the role that kingdoms have done in the health sector and in all the other good things that have been taken note of are a good thing. But the continued relations between the state and the cultural institution should be in a way that does not place either of them from the objectivity. See, we have a lot of issues in the country currently, and unfortunately, many of these cultural institutions have been a bit quiet on issues to do with we just concluded an election. And what we are seeing are things that are very unfortunate. And again, our expectation is that these institutions should be part and parcel of ensuring that issues are solved. If there are issues to do with human rights, if there are issues to do with arrests, some of these things that are very unfortunate, especially taking note that some of these are subjects of these kingdoms. The kingdoms must be in a position to not necessarily intervene, but be part of ensuring that there's a means to which issues are resolved.
The Cathedral of Uganda has been commenting on some of these issues.
Yeah.
A wide range of issues, elections, human rights, development, among others.
Yeah. Absolutely, and which is a good thing. But I think that there has to be ways in which things must be seen to be solved. And it's just not just because it seems to appear that Buganda Kingdom bears the face of kingdoms in the country. I know that there are issues like, for example, us in the Sebei sub-region, there are still contestations around who is the king. Different factions are claiming different legitimacies.
Are you not fit enough to be a king?
No, I think the parameters are very clear. All of us are fit to be the president, but there has to be mechanisms to which you get there. So beyond the good work that we are seeing, first of all, I think I don't support the idea that government should support directly kingdoms. Kingdoms should be able to have mechanisms for which they're able to mobilize their people to raise resources. In any case, government does not have that much money to keep spending on kingdoms. They can collaborate with the kingdoms to identify, but the kingdom should be able to mobilize its supporters and followers and people who subscribe to that to see how do you mobilize resources in whichever means to ensure that you support the kingdom. Otherwise, if it is only government, you detach the government from the people. You detach the kingdom from its people. For example, the kingdom from Honorable side, there have been issues to do with the residence of the king. There are still issues. Yet, for me, I think that the people can be able to mobilize and find ways in which to build their kingdom or their king a decent accommodation. So I think that's one thing that probably may want to look at it differently. In terms of the demographic component, I think that we are getting more. The population today is younger. An average Ugandan is around 18 years of age. And so kingdoms must be alive to the people that they lead. Otherwise, it's very likely that the younger people who are not well grounded can choose otherwise, and kingdoms again lose that strength of what they should be. I agree with Honorable with the fact that we cannot have the kingdoms as they were in the current situation, given the context, given the dynamics, but also given the interest at stake. Of course, lastly is around, for me, the question of religion, cultural institutions. I've looked at Uganda's substructure, and I see that the common identity or the fallback culture seems to be the religion. That Ugandans align more to religion than to their cultural institutions, which is a good thing. But I think that there has to be means in which these institutions have a direct impact in what they do, in what they teach on the lives of the people.
Spectrum Xtra on Radio 1 FM 90. Keep your comments coming via the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. We're reviewing the major events of the week. We've just been, having a discussion around the role of cultural institutions in line with the commemoration of the 33rd Coronation anniversary of the Kabaka of Buganda. And we want now to go for a quick break, but we have a comment that comes in from Subi Henry, listening in from Makerere University. It says, good evening, Kenneth and the panelists. Cultural institutions have contributed to have continued to play a pivotal role by being pioneers of health, socio-economic, and educational campaigns. Several cultural leaders are advocates and champions of change. We ought to leverage in our harmony, in diversity, to realize tangible benefits. Keep your comments coming as we take a break. We will return and look at some other things. We have to talk about the outcome of the LC election, but also the candidature of Dr. Olara Otunnu as the UN Secretary General. Stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. We continue. Thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum Extra live on Radio 1 FM 90. A panel reviewing the major events of the week. Mr. Chemonges, Executive Director, Parliamentary Watch, Center for Policy Analysis. Imam Idd Kasozi, retired lecturer, Islamic University in Uganda, member of the Justice Forum Party. Dr. James Tweheyo, member of the NRM Electoral Commission, former representative of workers in the Central Executive Committee. The Honorable Godfrey Kabbyanga, Baluku, coordinator of PLU, Rwenzori Sub-Region, member of the Central Executive Committee of that particular organization, and is a former state minister in charge of national guidance. My name is Kenneth Anderson Lukwago, your host. And now let's shift our gears and very quickly look at the candidature of Olara Otunnu for the position of UN Secretary General. Everyone was taken by surprise when Uganda suddenly announced Olara Otunnu as its candidate. Why? Because it's largely believed that we are a little bit late because of what has already happened. We already knew the candidates who were in this race. They had already carried out a debate amongst themselves about this particular race. And the polls, there was already a poll that came out after yesterday, some sort of a poll. And Dr. Olara Otunnu came the last in that particular poll. And people are saying if the government of Uganda was really serious, they should have put there his name the moment they announced that the race is open for people who want to replace the current Secretary General of the UN. I want to begin with you, Honorable Godfrey Kabbyanga, very quickly on this race for the position of Secretary General. Why did it take us this long to come up with a candidate if we really knew that we were serious about this particular position?
First of all, I would like to thank the President and the entire government for deciding to nominate our brother, the Honorable Olara Otunnu. And I would also like to say he's the right candidate for the job. With his vast experience in UN work and his education, I think we'll have the best candidate for that work. And it's also a gesture that really we are trying to heal so many things. You know, Olara Otunnu competed here for presidency. Olara Otunnu is a non-UPC member, but government is now looking, Uganda government has now looked at someone on him for one of the most prestigious jobs in the world. I'm not privy to what happened before nomination. Obviously, there must have been a lot of consultations before nomination. So you may not even blame government for not putting in the name Ali. I'm not privy to how it came about. So you may meet that there were so many meetings, consultations, and it delayed the process. But it's also good enough, better late than never. And I think that poll which you say came out yesterday, it was the first time he was appearing in the poll, and you know that the nomination was about 4 days ago, so he wouldn't have competed like those ones whose names have been there for a very long time. And I strongly believe now, after nomination, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs is now going to start the campaign. There is a lot of campaign which goes on, mainly on those jobs. They are going to start now serious campaigns. And you know, some of those jobs also blocks matter. So we have to look at which block. Now, if we have more than one candidate from Africa, there will be several compromises to see whether you stand for one of the candidates or the like. So me, I think it is now the beginning. Let us wait for, because the elections will be in December. So I think we still have time to really do the campaign. And I would like to appeal to all Ugandans to ensure we all join the campaign. You know, these days social media is very, very important in influencing what? Opinion. So as Ugandans, let us support the candidature of Olara Otunnu. Let us forget all our differences and we just focus on a Ugandan who is competing for one of the most prestigious jobs. It's not the first time, by the way, Olara Otunnu is going in. Is even going in for the UN topmost job. The other time, you know, when he was undersecretary, I think he was undersecretary, something like that. He was nominated by Ivory Coast, not Uganda. And later he wanted to go in for the Rio job, the Secretary General job. But Uganda didn't nominate him. Exactly. But now we have supported him, and I would like to appeal to all Ugandans to support that candidature.
So your argument is better late than never.
Better late than never, and that one must also be a stepping stone, because he may not. Our prayer. And I think Imam Idd Kasozi will pray, because his prayer reaches first. You know, prayers of imams and priests reach faster. Our prayer is he goes through. But even if he doesn't go through, I think that is a stepping stone.
For what?
Healing. You know, here we have been here and we have said, after elections, what happens? After elections, even after these LC1 elections, what happens?
Olara Otunnu, the healing had occurred already. He has been part and parcel of
but
government
healing
efforts,
doesn't occur in one day.
Including Archbishop Lugumu memorial efforts, and he has been working with the government closely.
Oh yes, but you know, some people may not have known that he's working with government. But now that government has nominated him, and it is everywhere, that is part of people saying, "Hey, you mean now he's working with government?" And those ones who probably still had the issues can now start thinking positively. So me, I think this is good. We should all support it, and the candidate is really fit for the job. That one, there is no question at all. So I would like to thank government for nominating him.
All right, let's go to Dr. Tweheyo. Probably he knows one thing or two about what transpired. What's your take about the candidate of Olara Otunnu, and do you think
Olara Otunnu, the man?
Do you think he will bring it home?
Olara Otunnu, the man, has the ability and is capable of bringing it home, having gone through the experience he has gone through as an undersecretary of UN. The delay may be there, but what is important is whether he passes through the basic two steps to reach the General Assembly. In the first place, if the country nominates you, then the UN Security Council must give you a nod. And there must be a clear lobby. So if we lobby very well the Security Council, where at least, as the procedure goes, where at least 9 members of the Security Council could give you a nod, without any other council member who can veto, then you can move straight to the next level of the General Assembly, appoint you. So first of all, he has just reached. His name has just reached. I have personally participated in the international politics, particularly of some of these institutions. I was a member of Education International, and to the point of being elected to the international board, the world board. And once you lobby very, very well, you can comfortably get to that. And Uganda, I think our relationship with most of these countries is good, I should say. And therefore, if we take trouble and use the right persons to go and lobby and interact with these other countries that are supposed to be taking lead, especially in the Security Council, and we take trouble also to reach out to the other countries that can veto, I think the man has the ability, has what it takes, and Uganda can enjoy that privilege of relations. And this man, if taken well, can make it to the position of Secretary General. If he sails through the first step, that one I can guarantee he would be one of the best candidates because of the experience he has. I think the experience he has is even much more than most of these other candidates you're talking about, who you said are scoring a high point. He has had that diplomatic experience. He has had that experience within the UN itself, and has reached just a step below the other position. So I think he knows what is there. They know his capacity. They know his ability. Even himself as a person has had that relationship and can interlink with them. I've been to Geneva myself a number of times when we have met with some of those issues. And it is very easy to sort out some of those matters. And I want to believe that if we make an effort and use the right persons and use the right relations, we can make it to that position.
All right. Yeah. Imam Idd Kasozi, Dr. Olara Otunnu.
I think the credentials he has, but the credentials are not the issues, as probably they have alluded to it. What is the status of the 5 permanent Security Council groups, nations? That's very critical.
What's their position on this candidature?
Yeah. 2, what is going on globally? You see, many countries may not be at war, but the war going on will have a lot of impact. Probably, why did we nominate him late? There are issues. Of course, I know why not then, why today? You know, we need to face the facts as they say they are. To me, I believe it is also a political gimmick at home. That's why, specifically, he has been, I think, now nominated, endorsed, when previously they did not. You know, NRM, this one say, talked for NRM. NRM, particularly President Museveni, has struggled to win the Acholi. He has struggled. Now, they actually arrived on the table. Mao from DP, the former late speaker, then you see they had gained the speaker, they had
the Chief Justice,
and in between there they've got the Minister of Justice, whom they still have. They lost the speaker when he passed on. They lost the Chief Justice when he retired. How do you convince them to remain with you? Because I think for the first time that region, overwhelmingly, I think his MPs now voted for NRM. You see?
Even LCs.
Yeah, I don't know. You see,
even in the LCs.
The LCs and women councils, those are local things. Now you don't. The political thing in it is only when we are going for national politics so that people use them. But you know, me when I am electing the local, the LC1. I don't look at political party, nationality, tribe, religion. I don't.
All right.
I look for somebody who can work for the village.
So you think this the appointment of the day, secondment of Otunnu has something to do with
there is some politics in it. But again, we are also campaigning him. I know many people are afraid of talking about. You see, for the first time in my life, I saw a prisoner being handcuffed in court. I don't know what it means globally, what it will mean. When he was crying, and you have no control over its saturation. You see, I have, for example, seen...
There's already a statement from the UN Human Rights Office.
I have seen a man from Rukungi in social media saying, what did the people of Rukungi do, President Museveni? You see, but the act on Wednesday, yesterday, or the other day, undermines who?
Dr. Olara Otunnu.
Then the other acts rotating on political prisoners, okay, victimized because of their political whatever, is a big negativity or challenge to Olara Otunnu. But Olara Otunnu as an individual, I think he has all what it takes. But of course, I know he's competing with two presidents. You see,
two former presidents.
Yes, two former presidents. Two presidents. It also means that, and respective of who nominates, for example, the Senegalese woman has been nominated by Burundi. It is Burundi nominating Sali, the former president of what is it? Senegal. So, who has nominated you does not matter much. But what is the status of the 5 permanent representatives on you is the key. Because even after he has put it, you have to go through vetting in the what? But I wish him well. And I'm very certain now, if he, for example, he achieved that position, irrespective of its complexes with those he would be a very good Secretary General because of, I think, age, maturity, and the experiences he has seen, both at international level and the local politics.
All right. Let's go to Timothy Chemonges. Timothy Chemonges, what's your reading of this race of the position for Secretary General of the United Nations?
All right. Thank you, Anderson. I think I want to agree with colleagues here that the track record, the education, and all that Olaro is bringing on table is undisputed. But the politics of the day and the politics of what leads you to this position is what matters. Actually, education and all this track record simply places you in the room. How you manage the politics, how the country manages the different dynamics in there is what matters at the end of the day. Of course, I would wish him the best, but I think it will be a miracle for me if Olara Otunnu eventually makes it. Partly because of many things that Imam has indicated, but primarily around the question of timing for me. In these international positions, time is of essence because you need to traverse but also inject a lot of resources and time to ensure that you mobilize all your machineries. In fact, for many countries, they set up proper infrastructure. You have teams, including the head of state, at the forefront to ensure that there is lobbying, to ensure that there is all effort to ensure that the seat is secured. I'm hoping and I'm waiting to see that happen. But recently, in an interview which I saw, our representative to the UN indicated that he's the head of the campaigns and is leading those campaigns. That in terms of our track record and our domestic politics, unfortunately, and I agree with what Imam says, does not portray the country and does not place the country in a better place. Again, understanding that this is a competitive position, and that what is happening in your country plays a lot in how eventually you are seen, but also in how you are perceived by the players the other side. And so what we are seeing in the country, the human rights position, the politics that we are dealing with locally here, greatly undermines the candidature of Olara. Of course, the other is around the issue of the regional competitions. Definitely, we see we have more than one candidate that Africa is fronting, which is a great disadvantage. Again, that greatly undermines our ability to coalesce as a continent towards pushing this. I'm hoping that maybe as in the next coming few weeks, the different candidates can be able to coalesce, and the countries can coalesce and front one candidate. Otherwise, multiple candidates from one continent undermines the ability to have a successful candidate. But of course, for me, last is around the issue of a proper campaign that needs to be put into this. A lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of communication and imaging at the end of the day is also very important, which you must put into this. Yeah, thanks.
All right. And we wish Dr. Olara Otunnu success in this particular race, because if he wins, then he carries the Ugandan flag, which brings us visibility, but also, being a key player in the global sphere. Now, let's cross our terrain and go to the LC1 elections, and I want to come to Dr. James Tweheyo. Dr. James Tweheyo, you were among the people who are actively engaged in these political processes. We saw the election taking place. Some people have emerged victorious, others have not. On Friday, we had veteran journalist Solomon Serwanja on this panel telling us why he was running to be chairman of one village in Mukono known as Bamutakude. And after the election, he emerged victorious. Yeah. He won by one vote, and it's one of those elections that is being talked about when it comes to the LC1. But let's hear your report card.
It was one of the hottest.
Was it hot?
It was extremely hot. It was like the hot elections that took place in Kabaka at one time between Ndugu Rugunda and Rukundo, when Rugunda also won by one vote. And made it, yes. So I first of all congratulate all those who participated in the LC1 elections and also women councils. It was very interesting that for once a number of people hyped the campaigns, invested a lot in it. You would hear everywhere noise, you'd get people running with the tracks of music and all of that. You would see people campaigning so vigorously, and when you understand that this is a voluntary position, then you begin questioning what is in this. It looks that stamp is one of the most powerful things. And at the end of the day, when I saw it in the social media, somebody saying, now I'll be the one stamping for those, endorsing those who want to go and get loans in the banks. Yes, I saw it. So the LC1 position is actually one of the most powerful positions in the country, the one that stabilizes the country, the one that helps in building the economy, because when an area is stable, when the leaders in that area know their own people, when they understand the value of peace, when they understand the value of production, the country stabilizes. In most parts of this country, the elections were calm. But in some areas, there was a little bit of violence. And I want to contribute this violence majorly to the laxity of the people when it came to registration. Most people thought that since they were registered for the previous elections, they are known in their villages, and they would just go and say, look, this is my card, and I will vote. But they were bounced. Reason, there was a new register for the village. And according to the law, that's what it's supposed to be. So people who could have lived in those villages but never registered would not have access to the voting area. and brought in confusion. Some others wanted to bring in confusion so that elections don't take place and they're able to organize themselves. In some other cases, there were issues of disagreements between a number of candidates. And it was surprising that when we were moving around, you'd hear somebody saying, well, me, I am the flag bearer because I'm the one who is the chairperson of the village in this party. Now, he would say, who is this other chairperson who wants to take my position? Some didn't have the understanding that there is a chairperson of NRM and there is also a chairperson of the village local council. It was similar. No, it was similar with the women councils. You'd find somebody says, I am the chairperson of the women. So who is this other one now coming in? It doesn't matter whether it is from a different party altogether. So who is this one coming to take my position? So it took a lot of trouble, especially by ourselves. And I think the Electoral Commission didn't do enough in teaching people. In the future, I think it will be the civic education. Yes. No, it is not all about money. I think the little they could have had they would have done much more. They could have used other institutions, like, for example, if they use the most, tell them, you people, there's elections, it's going to go like this, the churches, there are so many avenues which you can use, which you can use to do that civic education. So, but the most important thing is NRM, we invested in it. Why? Because we prepared our people, one, to participate in the registration, to go on the register. Two, we prepared our people by holding the primaries to get the flag bearers. We had flag bearers in all the 71,142 villages, all of them. And no wonder we managed to score about 90-something%. Because we got about 70,000. 70,000, yes.
At least in my village, we won.
Yeah. Of course, there are areas, of course, where other people came in, and there are areas where also there are independents. But most of the independents have a relationship with our own people. Where many people, especially Imam, those of other parties, feared to manifest themselves, they would hide under the independence tickets. And therefore, all in all, our people made it. And now they are moving on to the second level. Today and tomorrow we are finalizing our primaries, and we shall still forward our own candidates to go and participate in the level 2, which is LC2. We are also going to forward our candidates, especially Women Council, to move on to the level 2 and 3 and proceed to the districts. And therefore, I think, really, as a party, we have done the best we could do to ensure that we put the roots to the center and to the base where the institution of NRM will grow. And we shall continue to do our best to ensure that there is harmony, there is peace. And we shall get back even to those who lost. We shall get back to those who won and won on their own as independents. And we shall woo them to come and join the flock. And we get our country to its feet.
All right. Let's go to Honorable Kabbyanga. Maybe he has a different scorecard for the Rwenzori sub-region where he comes from. What transpired there?
Rwenzori sub-region elections were very peaceful. And I would like to congratulate all those who went through as chairpersons of LC1. And I would also like to congratulate the Electoral Commission for organizing these elections at last. And I would also like to congratulate my NRM party, where Honorable James Tweheyo sits at the Electoral Commission of NRM, for selecting very powerful candidates, because the performance was really very good. As we discussed last Friday, this LOC village, these LOC1 castles are really the foundation of our planning in the country and security. The chairman LOC1 is actually the chairman of security. Now, I still remember when they were still RCs. They were really very, very effective. Very effective. Exactly.
Now they are local.
Because at that time of RCs, the RC1 knew all the names of the people in the village, even in this town, even in the urban settings. And whenever, because in the urban settings, people keep shifting. But you would not leave one village to go to another without a letter introducing you into that village. But all that has died out. I don't know why. But I think now that we have had elections, and these elections were the most competitive elections I've seen. Because in our Chira municipality where I stay, even people had convoys of 40 vehicles. The other time I told you I was coming from a place called Camera. It's after Chichusa in Nakaseke. And when I was coming back, I met a convoy of LC1 chairman. He was in a Land Cruiser, open roof. I was like, what is this? In the village, in Chichusa Town Council.
That area. Land is still fresh.
Please conclude your point.
And I said, what is this? Why is someone investing all this money in an LC1 what? Election. I think I really started getting mixed feelings, just as I said last time. But all in all, the elections were very successful.
All right.
And I think they ended well. NRM scored very well. That's where I belong. And I'm happy with it. But I also don't see why a person should kill another because of an LC1 election.
All right.
Because I hear some people died in some of the villages.
Indeed. Spectrum X on Radio 1 FM 90. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll hear from Imam Idd Kasozi, but also from Mr. Chemonges, who are yet to submit their views on this particular issue of the LC1 elections. Keep your comments coming by the WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. What was the experience when it came to the LC1 election? Remember, we still have LC2 elections which are also coming up. So it's a learning curve. We need to prepare for those particular elections also. Stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90. We continue after this break.
Spectrum Extra, Fridays 7 to 9 p.m. on Radio 1 FM 90.
Dear music lovers, Africa Band is back from Europe and will entertain you live on Friday, 7th August 2026 at...
We're glad that you're still with us on the Spectrum Extra live on Radio 1 FM 90, reviewing major events of the week. We are now looking at the LC1 elections. I have a panel of four. Dr. James Tweheyo, he comes from the NRM Party Electoral Commission. Also in studio, the Honorable Godfrey Kabbyanga, member of the Central Executive Committee at PLU. He also coordinates that entity in Rwenzori Sub-Region. Mr. Timothy Chemonges, Executive Director at the Center for Policy Analysis, also at Parliamentary Watch, and Imam Idd Kasozi, retired lecturer from the Islamic University in Uganda. He's also a member of the Justice Forum Party and a farmer. I'm your host, Kenneth Anderson Lukwago, and let's continue with the discourse. And I want to come to you, Honorable.
Let me give one comment, Kenneth. I want to conclude that.
Very quickly.
I want to support Imam. After observing the elections of LC1 critically, because I was very much involved, I think we should. I would be happy if we left out political parties at LC1. That's my opinion.
How can you do that? Yet,
no.
You want to bring to build structures of political parties.
But we have structures. We have NRM structure which runs for us as NRM. Even at LC1 we have a branch. But I think when I saw how elections went, because I was somewhere and I saw NRM people voting openly. Then I was somewhere, I also saw NUP voting NRM. So I think we need to rethink and see whether parties are necessary at LC1.
All right, let's go to Imam Idd Kasozi. Let's hear his view on what transpired in his village. Your village is called Mawanga?
Mawanga Central.
Mawanga Central.
But Mawanga Central, Mawanga Lower, and Mawanga Upper.
All those are your villages?
Yes, I am the Imam.
You are the Imam.
Unfortunately, I did not vote. I was away. But at least the chairman around our villages, I agree with them. The reason is because I believe strongly. For example, I spoke in the mosque and told them that don't go for your relative, your brother, your member, your party member. Because I asked them, since the elections of parliament, okay, we have prayed over 28 Jumas. I have never seen the MP. Do I need him now? I don't need. Because even some MP from some other village may be better registered than mine and even push what I want in parliament. But LC, I am directly concerned. And in today's sermon, I told them they should go and support them in the process that is now coming so that it's not militarized again, the cleaning. Let the local councils do, they mobilize the people. Because if I stood in the mosque and told the people that tomorrow we should go and do Bulinjwansi, people will work. Even if I went out on the outside, they don't need to be even Muslims in my local village. They will listen, both where I stay and in the village where I work for. People will appreciate. So what do we need from LC1 is to go and organize the communities. To go back to the state is talking about resistance council, how people were active and how it mattered. Probably because then the stamp thing had not grown, because the stamp means a lot. For example, we had a meeting, all of us, the three villages, over a developer who came. He did not report to NRC. He started developing. Then as he was going up, there are issues with electricity now. That's when he surfaced that he wants a stamp from the LC in order to remove the transformers. I said, because as I told you, both Lower Mawanga, Chairman Mr. Willie, and Middle Mawanga, Hajat Zaitun, who were both affected, they all consulted me as an elder in the village. I said, no, we want somebody from Uganda, either distributor, to come here, not just a contractor. Because when we have issues, the contractors have gone. And we had a joyful meeting to discuss all the matters, asking the man, why now? So, local council 1, elections, it's absurd that we experience that. 2, it's also absurd that we have those convoys. Whoever supports those convoys are also not very serious. Because you must know the person. Why should you be hoodwinked? Because somebody has thrown a small party and he will go away forever and then you begin crying. So, to my thinking, I strongly believe Parliament, if we have it anyway, because I doubt whether there is Parliament in Uganda. I still have a lot of doubt. Like now I am moving also to doubt whether there is court in Uganda, whether the judicial system in Uganda is operating. I am doubting. I have my reasons. It will be for another day. Parliament should help us and make a law where local council 1 elections should be, even 2, should be as free of political attachment as possible for us to generate leaders who will become good and be good, future good leaders. Because when people are corrupted by belonging, even when they go, they remain in that what? In that mode or mood. And consequently, they don't become good leaders. I'm very certain what I need from LC1. For me, I may not need a stamp for LC1. I may not need.
Well,
I may not need, because my needs as a person are now limited, completely limited, because I am satisfied with what I...
Well, you may need to stand surety. You will need to stand surety for someone in court.
To move where?
You may be requested to stand surety. You may be requested
in the business, I don't need LC.
Imam, there's a very important thing, and I've seen you actually doing it. You may be required to stand surety for somebody in court, and you need an LC letter.
Maybe. Any serious LC, whether I voted him or not, if I'm going to stand surety for a person, he should not even ask me a question. He would just write the letter, and there you go. LC1 is humanity, it is not politics. And I want us to distance it from politics. Okay? For example, you see now, we are both of us NRM. But I have now already seen PLE, PLU people who claim to be part of it, conflicting. Conflicting is what? Because what is the reality will soon come. I know. The reality will soon come. And then you will be shocked. So my concluding remarks is that whoever has been elected chairperson, LC1, I will congratulate you. But I advise you to go and work for your village and the community rather than your political
position
or
political party. Political
faith you belong to.
Okay.
Because the neighbors are not chosen. Nobody votes for neighbors. Neighbors just come. They only need to work together and live on.
All right. Let's go to Mr. Timothy Chemonges. I've just learned during the course of this discussion that Mr. Timothy Chemonges was an observer of the LC1 elections. He was one of those people who was moving around to see whether the elections were being conducted very well. Let's hear from you, Timothy. What does your report look like? You people who monitored this process.
Yeah. So first, I think to congratulate the winners and to congratulate the Electoral Commission for coordinating that. Two, I think that a number of 71,000 villages to conduct that magnitude of election is a positive, and I think that's a good thing. Of course, with the challenges that came along with that. I should also note that I think these LC elections have not been spared the effects or what you'd refer to the bad manners of the general election. The question of the monetization has greatly penetrated into the system. And even as Imam encourages the LC1s to serve humanity, I think it's also good to note that these members have invested a lot of money in this. There should be a system to ensure that monetization of politics is controlled, and there must be a system to manage this. Otherwise, it becomes extremely hard for a candidate who has gone through such a process not to go and find mechanisms to recover their money. Of course, there are issues to do with issues of lining up, but I think at a personal level, I think that I still support that system, especially where we are at today. The system is a bit more clear. The members of the village come and they participate. There could be issues, but I think it's a very, very effective means of election. Again, compared to what would be the alternative of ballot, and again, you have to go to deal with the issues of ballot stuffing, as we see in the general elections. On the issue of political parties, I absolutely agree. I think that we need to depoliticize the local elections and leave that maybe to the other substantive seats. But I guess for me, it's around how do we deal with our electoral process, whether it's at the LC, whether it's at the other positions. There are many fundamental challenges that as a country we are dealing with, as far as ensuring that the process must be able to be fair, but also it must be predictable, that the candidate who wins will likely to be declared. I think that some of the people who have gone to court, and especially for the general elections, you could clearly see that there are anomalies. in terms of how the Electoral Commission was able to manage the elections. And there are gaps, and some of those gaps must be able to be addressed as we move forward. Issues to do with monetization, issues to do with the involvement, the military involvement in some of our elections, without necessarily undermining the ability of the citizens to determine who their leader is. There are many challenges that the electoral process, because whatever we saw in the local council elections are a replica to what happened in the general election. It's just that these are different levels of positions, but they are similar. And so it tells you that you actually go to, like, my village. You see that an LC has a rented premise. We all contribute. And many times when you go there for a letter, you pay for that.
5,000 for the stamp or 10,000.
It depends with where you come from. I think
the letter is about what.
Yes. So and also it depends with who you are.
The power in the stamp.
Yeah, the power in the stamp. So I think that I don't see us again going back to the original system where this was for the good, where the people. I think that where we've reached, waters have been a bit messed up, and I think that the process for us to reclaim back must start, so that this addressing the LC election should be part of the broader electoral process, starting from the national level, coming down. That if I stood in an election, there should be predictability of me getting, declared a winner, or in a free and fair manner. That should be a basis. Otherwise, and the capacity also of electoral commission should be enhanced, so that they're able to exercise free and fair mechanisms through all the process that they undertake.
All right. We have comments coming in from the listeners, and I want to read out some of those comments as we continue reflecting on this particular key topics that we have seen during the course of this week. Somebody writes in and says, as one panelist did observe, the cultural institution could do more in shaping the Uganda we want. Probably they have also been gripped by the fear that has paralyzed many Ugandans. Our cultural institutions could unite to fight against some of the human rights abuses that are so rampant in our country. Having stated the above, I still do commend the Katikiro of Buganda for his courage, for he has remained a lone voice in the wilderness, calling for national leadership to order. That is Mosaic Mike there with that comment. AWK from Gaza Right Syrian says, thanks moderator for the show. On Ankole in 1901, the British amalgamated the principalities of Nkore, Igala, Bweju, etc. into one kingdom that they called Ankole. These independent principalities opposed the move. The leader of Igara committed suicide to avoid humiliation of being ruled by his rival, the leader of Nkore from the Bahinda clan. Note that the leaders of Nkore were from the minority Hima pastoralists, whom the majority Banyankore agriculturalists Bairu greatly detested because of historical injustices. The majority Bairu in areas like Bushenyi, Ntungamo, Isijiro, and Ibanda don't subscribe to the restoration. To restore the institution against their wishes is a direct confrontation. His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni is alive to this fact and cannot risk to lose support of the majority. This is why attempts by General Sejusa and the late Eli Tumwini to install Barije were vetoed by the President. Another comment from Mzee Mike. Kenneth, given the negative global publicity our country has received with regard to our poor human rights record, it will be very hard for Dr. Olara Otunnu to make it to the prestigious office. Then we have another comment here. Good evening, Spectrum Extra. Thanks for the show. My comments about the topic, whereas cultural institutions are a nucleus for family units, preservation of culture and heritage, there are a lot of controversies caused by some individuals who masquerade and create parallel institutions. I am a Mugwere and do subscribe to the Owhaikumbania wa Bugwere, formed as a result of several clan leaders, Itangabisi, who formed the chiefdom and electoral college, electing the Ikumbania, the head chief, as opposed to hereditary kingdoms. After the demise of Ikumbania in 2021, there are many claimants for the throne, including his own son, who wants to change the chiefdom to a kingdom, which has never existed in Bugwere, paralyzing the process of the gazetting of the new Ikumbania after the demise of his father, the late Bishop Preston We Yabire. There are two other sections of masqueraders purporting to revive the Bukedi kingdom, which never existed in the first place. There has never been a tribe called Bukedi. as it's only a regional umbrella, bringing 5 eastern districts together with their respective tribes occupying these area districts, namely Samia in Busia, Adola in Toro, Banyole in Butaleja, Bagwere, Budaka, Kibuku, Butevo, and Palisa. The Iteso in Tororo, Palisa, and Butevo, all those tribes have chiefdoms led by their respective chiefdoms like Mwene, Ngo, Papa Dola, Sehuli, Ikumbania, Emorimori, by order of the tribes above. This means that if Bukedi Kingdom existed, the 5 cultural heads, together with their subjects, will bow for the Senkulu, head of Bukedi Kingdom, which can never happen. In a nutshell, it's a hoax, and it's a revival. Its revival is dead on arrival. However, these institutions are pivotal in fostering unity in both social and economic development, helping government must therefore enhance their funding to promote its agenda. That's Fred Kamugo Keita in Shida Municipality, but originally from Kamonkoli Town Council in Budaka District. Subi Henry writes in from Makere, says, Kenny, you never play fair in a game where others are cheaters. You either cheat or refrain from participating. The exercise was characterized by chaos and abnormalities, and the majority of the cheaters prevail. Let's get the responses to some of these comments, and then we call it a day. Honorable Kabbyanga.
Sincerely, I don't have much comments because most of the information, most of these people are giving us information. But you cannot categorize the whole election as an election full of what? Cheaters. Probably Timothy, who was an observer, should have really, because you can't categorize the whole election as an election of what? Of cheaters. I'm not saying there were no anomalies. The anomalies were there. But I don't think they were really enormous to make the whole election be categorized as what? As election of cheaters. These elections, I'm telling you, are among the most successful elections which I saw. And the only thing, just as I've said here before, civic and electoral
voter education
is very, very important. And it needs to start now. Because, for instance, with NRM, if you didn't hold those barazas, people wouldn't have even known what was going to happen. Because the Electoral Commission didn't do much. And I can't also blame them. They were given money 2 weeks to what? To elections. So that is the biggest problem.
The saddest things that the government did was actually to scrap civic education in schools. I remember growing up as a young pupil in school, I knew some basics about governance and elections, but now you can't teach.
And it's also good that most of the
and
people...
even there's a plan to scrap political education institutions of high learning.
I think those are things which you need...
difficult time.
All those are things which you need to be, and it's also good that most of the those who have commented on the topic of cultural institutions, they think they should be enhanced, they should get government support. But I strongly believe we need them as government, whether giving them support or not. But we need to cooperate with them.
But cultural institutions are already getting support from government.
They are getting some sort of facilitation, which may not be adequate. But one other argument that keeps coming up, since these cultural institutions control regions, can we think about probably doing some sort of federal states or something like regional tier, which is already in our constitution?
Regional tiers
in our constitution.
They're in our constitution, but they also fail to be operationalized. Because the biggest problem here is the issue of different nationalities. Because you mean
different nationalities, different tribes.
Exactly. Now look at Bukedi. Now there's someone who has just commented
about
on
Bukedi.
On Bukedi. Because now who are the Bukedi? Because there is Tenge on Adora. He's already there. It's a cultural institution. Old man Moses Owori, I think, is still the Tenge Adora even right now. There is a Omukuka, the Wamasava, is also there. So you can't even make regional tier because the whole issue, every tribe will feel
the whole tier is already torn.
The whole tier is already torn. So I think we shall remain as this, because even when Uganda says we want federal, and then Sebaruri say, no, me, I will not be part of the what? Of that federal state. Now those are the issues. Because now people are saying some of the cultural institutions are political, others are cultural. Now, the Banyara, this one of Kayunga. Now there is Koki, Kamuswaga. Though for him he has a special relationship with what? With the Buganda Kingdom. So even the federal state might not be feasible now. You know, those are the problems. So I think we can still work with these cultural institutions as government to mobilize people, mainly on the side of mobilizing people for socio-economic transformation.
Imam, regional tier, federal, or we go the way we are? And also some of the comments that have come in from the listener.
If people had agreed to federate, it would make a lot of sense. Including by the even religious institutions, they have a problem because of when they form Uganda Muslim Council, and they do not look at those who were in existence, whom cannot just collapse overnight. You have those problems. So what I think, if we are to address some of these issues, we need to go back again and say, what exactly do we want? The biggest challenge is we have politicized everything, and the politicians actually they play on our psychology, especially because of either our poverty and some problems that we have. We end up compromised. Then the cultural institutions, you see, each cultural group given an opportunity, the sky is the limit. Even the Ankole thing people they talk about, the local Munyankole now admires the other kingdoms where the kings are. He's not going to become a king, but he thinks mobilizing around a particular person, like the late Sheikh Kaduyu was an advocate of the Ankole culture, whatever, and thinking that they could work like other areas. But I want to end by thanking all those people who have supported our drive to go to Karamoja. And those who, if you still want to be part...
Why are you going to Karamoja?
Karamoja, there is a famine, there is hunger, people are dying. So we want to take food to them. I am happy our first contingent that is going to give food to 800 families through our efforts, and our colleagues in the weddings in Miliki, they have arrived in Kangori. And inshallah tomorrow they will work.
All right.
On Wednesday, we shall make a follow-up. I want to thank the people of Nakasoga in the Chotira district. They have somebody has just delivered beans to take to Karamoja from Chotira.
All right.
They are at my place, at my mosque. Somebody just sent them.
So whoever wants to donate towards the Karamoja efforts should go to Mawanga Mosque.
Mawanga Masjid, or if you know my phone, you call me.
All right.
Actually, our package contains 8 items.
All right.
And those items cost 120,000 shillings.
We have to bring this discussion to an end. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for creating time to be here, and you, the listener, for tuning in and contributing to this discussion. From me and the panel, we wish you a fabulous weekend. Stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90, because we'll continue with the great songs and great memories. Until next time, from us here, it's a good night.